today. It's not a long one. Good. YouTube is up too. Welcome, guys. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all at the same time, going live. And that's exactly what I was looking for today. You guys see the great topic that we have here because it is so great, because it is the great reset. That's what's going on. It's the great reset, the US dollar crisis. That's what's happening and how that applies to everything that we're doing today. I'm going to get a little historical on you when I explain where we're headed, just to help you have a better understanding, essentially what's going on, because if you don't know what's going on, you're definitely lost in the sauce when it comes to any future updates coming up towards the end of this month and into next month, because right now, if you don't have a clue, man, I got to tell you, it's not looking good, especially on a global scale. I can only really talk about the U.S. because I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to go there as far as global economy is concerned, but I can tell you the news and the updates that are going on and how that affects us here in the U.S. and what that means for you and your investments. So what do? Real quick, like, subscribe, follow, do all those great things. Facebook, just follow. And what is it, LinkedIn, go ahead, just click it, like it. It does impressions or something like that. LinkedIn's kind of interesting when it comes to that. I don't know how strong a platform LinkedIn plans on becoming or what their infrastructure can actually handle when it comes to going live and all that stuff all the time. But I just want to get right into it. So here's what it is, right? If you guys understand, when you see the term the Great Reset, you see the thumbnail there, it's the reset button, right? All right, so let's think about that for a second, right? So if it is a reset, what are we resetting? Why does everyone keep saying the Great Reset? It's real clear. Historically, if you look at inflation, just for the U.S. alone, we're just going to talk about the U.S. here. We see what's going on in Europe. It's not looking good right now, okay, between Germany and then England, and then there's banks falling out. You got people resigning. People are getting paid when they shouldn't be. It's just things are falling apart, right? But here in the U.S., it's real clear what we're doing. We know that in 2021, we had this huge change in interest as far as the rates are concerned, because we were trying to really stimulate the economy, right? We had the pandemic happen, but before that, for those who were actually paying attention, we were having some economic problems, especially in the market before that whole pandemic thing kicked off in January, February, March. That whole time frame there were some problems in the months before, but a lot of people weren't paying attention to that. I really strongly suggest you look back and see what was going on. But over the time frame, here's a bit of information a lot of people haven't really paid attention to. If you look at the average, okay, the average between 1960, it was an interesting statistic here, 1960 to 2021, the average inflation, that period was about 3.8%, roughly, right? What does that mean? Well, $100 in 1960 was actually $100 times what? All right, I'm not, when you lose your train of thought because you want to get a point across so firmly, and it's like you really want to make it devastating. That's where I'm at right now, because this is live and I don't have the time to edit and start over and say it again, because, man, the topic is so strong. $100 back then is $928, I think is the number, today. You heard that right. $100 in 1960 is almost $1,000 today. How profound is that? That increase, that 3.8% increase over all those years, is how much the dollar has changed in value, right? Shocking. Okay, so you take that into consideration, like, holy crap, what is going on? Here's another fun statistic. So when you're looking at the numbers and you look at inflation rates going up and down, I took some notes here. In 2016, we were like at 1.2% inflation, right? Average, right? 2017 was 2.1. 2019, we come back down to 1.8 again. 2020, we were 1.2. After that, we started stimulating the economy and throwing money out there. Quantitative easing. When we did that, we jumped like there's no tomorrow to where we are today. Actually, we'll say the height when we hit that 9.2 in July. Insane. So you would think, all right, so to fix that, let's pull money back. Well, that's what they're doing, right? So by the market crashing, the way it's crashing, because they're pulling out and stocks are just losing their values, right? And I explained that in a previous video under the investments playlist, and we go into detail right that. And I'm kind of forgetting everything I covered there because, man, you just can't remember everything as you're trying to go through. Like I said, that's not my specialty. My specialty is commercial investments, pro formas, and so forth. But I have to pay attention to this because I have to understand where we're going. And where am I going with this is I'm looking at the interest rates, right? I'm looking at the borrowing rates for my investors. And what does that mean for them, for you guys? That's what you need to be paying attention to. And so I look at that and I'm like, holy crap, like how am I going to guide these people and inform them better? And the best thing I can tell you is, like I've been saying over and over and over, if you're capable now, do it now. Trying to time it is the worst advice you could ever have. I'm going to hold and wait. Well, while you hold and wait, you're losing your chance. It's been said over and over and over that during this kind of time frame in our economy is when millionaires are made. Why? You're going to catch people in desperation situations, okay? And that's when you capitalize. That's when you buy them out, you save them. You buy them out because you can afford to, of course. Maybe you have a team behind you. You have an equity group. You have hedge funds. You got some guys behind you, right, that have the deep pockets. And you go in and you grab a bunch of products, brands, real estate. You grab it. You make a great deal on it. Now it's the discount, okay? And you turn around, and when the economy starts sweeping back around, and I'm going to tell you that's about 5 to 8 years. Sorry. You pay attention to the graph. You watch the up and down, okay? It's about 5 to 8 years. 10 is really stretching. I think it'll take us quicker because things are happening a little more responsively now, although obviously the employment or unemployment side of it, there's a delay, but the things we're seeing immediately are the reflection of real estate and interest rates, right? So those reporting portions are up to date, but unemployment and all that, those numbers are lagging indicators, right? So it just is what it is there. However, when you're paying attention to everything else, then you can kind of say, all right, well, so what should I do right now? The question is, what can you do, right? So can you make your decisions now, or do you have to hold off? If you have to hold off, then that's fine. The Feds are supposed to go up another 75 basis points in November. Guarantee you it's going to happen, okay? Guaranteed. Now, what does that mean? Well, they're waiting to see how responsive it's going to be because going up in the points means that there's a delay in the reaction of the points going forward. In other words, we were at 9.2. I disagree with that argument because when we're at 9.2 and they did their immediate response, 75 basis points, we dropped down to 8.5, right? So at that point, they thought there was going to be a lot of response and this was going to happen pretty quickly. But then, next cycle came around again, they did it again, but they only went 0.5, right? When they did that, what happened? We went 8.3. They went 0.75 again. We only went 8.2. So now they're like, oh man, this isn't happening as quickly as we thought it would. Correct. And then we have other situations that are happening globally. Other countries, their dollars are weakening, right? And they're seeing the better bet is to invest into the US dollar. Okay, right, good point. I get it, safer bet. But your own dollar is dropping. So while your own dollar is dropping and you're investing in our money, that's great. But now you make our money almost unaffordable for you to do business. It makes it harder to do business when the dollar gets unattainable, right? So those are the things that we really need to pay attention to, because if that's the case, then business still goes in the wrong direction, right? So we have to understand those steps moving forward in order for it to make sense all the way down to us, the consumer and investors, on what kind of decisions we're going to make moving forward that are actually going to be beneficial. Otherwise, what are we doing, right? So we want to pay attention to that. Global currency, right now, the US dollar is a strong point, right? So we want to keep it that way. Now, we know that there's powers that be that want to try to corner oil and things like that, and we get it, right? We're talking about renewable energy and stuff like that moving forward, which isn't as effective as we would like it to be, but it's moving in the right direction. So I get it. Yes, it makes total sense, right? So, taking that into account, and then also looking at war right now and the conflicts, and then we're looking at, the conflict between Taiwan and China, right? So all these different things that are happening are causing discrepancies all over the world right now. Europe with its fuel issues and what's happening over there, I believe with Germany. Don't quote me on exactly the details, but we all know that there's problems, right? So it doesn't take an idiot, unless you're just hiding in a closet right now for the rest of your life and don't know what's going on. Clearly, those are problems that we have to pay attention to, because at any point in time, if enough people get upset, then we're going to have some sort of world war conflict or something that's going to happen. And then, I can tell you, my thoughts. I'll tell you right now. I think, me personally, the best way out of a situation like this right now, and I don't want this, is war. What happens? Well, our large manufacturers, right, start to take on tasks that support war. The building of machinery, the building of ammo, guns, right, weaponry, clothing, uniforms, recruiting, all those different aspects that support war, not just for the US, but for other countries that are going to need to borrow money from us or buy from us those products that they need to go to war, right? So then they start becoming in debt to us, and that starts to strengthen the job market here and the economy here. And there's more buying and selling that's happening within the US, right? And that's what starts to pull us out significantly, the hole that we dug ourselves in by inflating the hell out of our dollar, right? So as a result of that, I think that that's probably the right direction, but it's the wrong direction, right? Because nobody wants to go to war. No lives want to be lost. Who wants that? No one wants that, right? But unfortunately, if there isn't a conflict, what do? Right? So we tried supporting another conflict happening over with Russia and Ukraine right now, but that hasn't proven very beneficial monetarily, right? And so that's kind of like a prelude into what needs to happen. Got to pay attention to that. And I can tell you it's inevitable if China starts to get upset, right? They're our neighbors, and so is Russia. Those two are our neighbors right next door. Russia's practically touching our land, right, over by Alaska. So all these topics come into play and are very important. Now, what can we as individuals control? What can we control? We can't control any of that. What you can control is what you do and your investment decisions. That's what you have to focus on. Knowing the different things that are happening with the economy, with the market, paying attention to National Association of Realtors, checking up on Redfin to see their updates, and paying attention. I could tell you that on National Association of Realtors, they explain that although the market has slowed down with sales, they're still selling above their value right now. So those sales are still happening like that. So there's still some lag there, okay? But they're down almost 2%, right? So it was like 1.5 and some change, okay? So you have to pay attention to that. I definitely recommend checking up on them and seeing what's going on so that you're kept abreast. If you are into real estate, whether it's commercial or residential, it's important that you understand. Landlords, it's going to get tough. Rental rates are going to come back down because people just can't afford it. Okay, and you don't want your property vacant. So be careful with that as well. Okay, that's happening on the commercial side. They're getting smart before that happens, so they're giving more deals on that. But eventually we're going to get back to not forcing evictions again, because it's going to be a dramatizing situation. The feds don't care how many jobs are lost or how many people are homeless. That's not their priority. So don't think that there's some sort of sensitive issue there. They just don't care. Their job is to preserve the value of the dollar and get us out, keep the inflation down, okay? So that's really it in a nutshell. See you guys next time. Sorry it's doom and gloom, All right, you just got to be, you have to be proactive at this point. Figure out your game and think about what you're going to do. That's all the info I got for you today. See you guys next time.